We are finally back. After a few weeks away, we're ready to return to action, reviewing all of the latest going on in the world of the Montreal Canadiens. And what better way to make our return than with the Canadiens welcoming in the first place Carolina Hurricanes to the Bell Center. Jakub Dobes gets the start for Montreal, while Freddie Andersen gets the start for Carolina. Josh Anderson returns from a brief 2-game absence and takes the spot of Joel Veleno in the Habs lineup. Freddie Andersen, 13, 11, and 5 with a 3.12 goals against average and an .874 save percentage. Dobes, 22, 8, and 4 with a 291 goals against average and an .893 save percentage. Carolina's forecheck gave the Canadiens problems from the get-go, resulting in multiple faceoffs in the Canadian zone, which in turn led to an early penalty on Josh Anderson, sending the Canes to the power play just over a minute and 30 seconds in. Mike Matheson continued his fine form of late, deflecting in a centering pass by Ehlers directly into the Habs net and by Jakub Dobes. And for a guy who just 2 games removed from single-handedly costing the Canadiens their game against the Red Wings, it was not a good start. Obviously some bad luck plays into it, but Matheson has really struggled in the second half of the year, and I have to think it's from being relied upon far too much and given way too many minutes. It was almost like the Canadiens forgot to even show up for the start of this one. Turnovers in the defensive and neutral zones led to grade A opportunities for the Hurricanes, and poor Jakub Dobes was hung out to dry. He came up huge on a breakaway to Rob Hall for his 300th career goal. Less than 5 minutes in, Montreal found themselves in a hole, down 1-0 on the scoreboard and being outshot 7-1. The shots continued to pile up for the Canes, and the Montreal Canadiens' stellar defensive performance continued. They turned over a puck in the neutral zone, Matheson dropped his stick trying to block a dump in, the slot was left completely empty, and Jordan Staal found a loose puck right in front of Dobes with an eternity to shoot. He picked a corner, put it over the shoulder of Dobes, and put the Canes up 2-0 early on the sleepwalking Montreal Canadiens. The Habs looked completely lifeless to start this one, turning pucks over left and right and looking all out of sorts. Now Montreal was finally able to get a glimmer of hope when Oliver Kapanen deflected a Jaden Struble point shot through Freddie Andersen's 5-hole and into the back of the net to cut the Hurricanes' lead in half. The Habs were fortunate enough to get on the scoreboard on what was really their first scoring opportunity of the period, and they were quite honestly lucky to only be down by 1 goal in this one. Montreal struggled throughout the entirety of the period with Carolina's forecheck and pressure down low. They were repeatedly out-muscled and outworked for loose pucks along the boards. Finally, in the final minutes of the period, the Canadiens finally started to look threatening, with a lengthy shift by the first line applying constant pressure on the Carolina defenders and getting a couple of chances. But the turnover problem continued to rear its ugly head. This time, Noah Dobson threw a careless pass through the neutral zone that was picked off, and it nearly resulted in a goal for the Canes. In the dying seconds of the penalty, Sebastian Aho got called for interference, and it gave the Canadiens a power play to work with to start the second period. So Montreal was going to look to take advantage of that chance in the second period in order to get even in a game that they had no business being that close in. This was not a good effort in the first period by the Canadiens. They were quadrupled in shots by the Canes and outshot 16-4. They were vastly outchanced and outplayed. Now to start the second period, Montreal's first unit managed to get a nice look early, but Caufield put it wide. He ran out of space. Nick Suzuki then managed to draw another penalty on the Canes, so that resulted in an abbreviated 5-on-3 for 39 seconds. With the first unit having just played roughly 80 seconds, Marty St. Louis called his timeout, gave his men a chance to rest and prepare for the 5-on-3. Unfortunately, the timeout did not prove to be helpful, as the first unit didn't even manage a shot on goal. It was actually Oliver Kapanen who got a pair of shots on the second unit, but Montreal let that golden opportunity to tie the game slip through their grasp. They did not, however, let that missed chance ruin their game, as the first line's next shift on the ice resulted in a critical goal by none other than Cole Caufield, his 44th of the season, as he continues on his journey to 50 to become the first Habs player since Stéphane Richer to do so. A one-timer from Nick Suzuki was kicked away by Freddie Andersen, but it went directly to Cole Caufield at the side of the net, and the little man from Mossonee, Wisconsin made no mistake about it, drawing the Canadiens even and effectively making this one a brand new game. The first line wasted no time getting right back into it, as Noah Dobson put a shot towards the net that was deflected by, you guessed it, Cole Caufield, and into the Hurricanes net. Not too quick though, unfortunately for everyone rooting for Caufield to hit 50. The puck did take another bounce off of Slafkovsky prior to reaching the goal, so Habs fans have to wait just a little bit longer for Caufield's 45th of the year. Montreal though takes their first lead of the game in what was quickly starting to resemble the last meeting of these two teams in Carolina, in which the Habs won a back and forth affair by a score of 7-5. Now after taking the lead, Montreal continued to improve, looking better and better, generating more and more chances. Demidov showed off his hands, brought the Bell Center fans to their feet. They slowly brought the shot total closer to even until offsetting penalties on Goulet and Martinov with just around 2 minutes to go led to some 4-on-4 hockey. With less than a minute to go, Walker ends up tripping Noah Dobson, giving the Canadiens a late chance to go up 2 with a 4-on-3 power play to end the period. That 4-on-3 was pure chaos, and Marty's decision to put Noah Dobson out on the ice instead of Hudson immediately backfired as he made a brutal pass that resulted in a giveaway, a 2-on-1 break for the Hurricanes. Fortunately for Montreal, the Canes missed the net completely. Slafkovsky ended up going right back down the ice the other way, put on an insane deke, but it was all undone by an ill-advised pass attempt towards Cole Caufield. Now, speaking of Caufield, with time winding down, somehow the Canes forgot all about him and left him all alone in front of Freddie Anderson, but Anderson was able to outweigh Caufield and save the Canes bacon, holding the deficit to just 1. This was a much better period for the Canadiens, and while they may not have been the better team overall, sometimes in the NHL, you just have to win games in which you are not the better team. Montreal started the third with a minute remaining on the power play, but they failed to capitalize, didn't even manage to record a shot. Carolina appeared to start the period with much more urgency, getting back to their game plan and putting as many shots towards net as possible. Montreal did fight back. Glorious look for Demidov, who was just able to finish off an incredible play, as well as chances for Bolduc and Anderson, but both couldn't find the twine. The third period was a very fast pace, which you were going to have to think was going to favor the Hurricanes. Aho ended up missing not 1 but 2 slot chances before Slafkovsky shot the puck over the glass, gifted the Hurricanes a third period power play. Now on that penalty kill, Montreal bent, but they did not break. They kept the Canes' chances mostly to the perimeters, and Jakub Dobes hardly allowed any rebounds at all as he swallowed up chance after chance, keeping Montreal ahead by a goal. In fact, this was a constant theme throughout this game. Dobes' rebound control was very impressive throughout. He looked much more in control than he has at many points this season. Carolina's shot advantage continued to creep upwards, and before you knew it, they were more than doubling the Canadiens in shot on goal yet again. The Habs held on and held on until they caught a break when Keandre Miller was caught flat-footed by Demidov. Demidov blew by him at the Canadiens' blue line, found himself all alone on a breakaway against Freddie Anderson, and Demidov, who has had a bit of a hard time finishing off breakaways this season, was able to sweep one around the pad of Anderson and double the Canadiens' lead, putting the good guys up 4-2 with just 6 minutes to go. A great goal for Demidov, who seemed to have been starting to feel the effects of his first full-length NHL season, so hopefully that's going to launch him towards the playoffs with a bit of added momentum. Now, you'd have thought the last 6 minutes would have been very tightly defended, but it was the opposite. Jake Evans was left all alone in front of Anderson and was totally robbed. Then just seconds later, Stankoven was sent in on a breakaway, and Dobes made a massive save as this one was just flying back and forth. With 4 minutes to go, the Canes pulled their goaltender to give it a last-ditch effort, and in what felt like the longest 4 minutes of all time, the barrage continued for the Hurricanes to the tune of a total of 44 shots on goal compared to just 19 for the Canadiens. Jakub Dobes was standing on his head on this one, making save after save after save, and he made them look routine. You have to think that the work he's done with Marco Marciano has really helped improve his game. It's very noticeable since the team made that change with their goaltender coach. Now, the 19th shot for the Habs was a 150-foot clearing attempt by Jake Evans that found the empty net and finished this one off for the Canadiens. It put them up 5-2 in a game that, quite honestly, they stole. Jakub Dobes, far and away the Canadiens' best player, and it just reinforced how strong this team is and how difficult they are to beat when they have any semblance of competent goaltending. For anyone who doubted that Jakub Dobes was deserving of taking over the starter's job, I present to you Exhibit A in the form of this game. Whereas earlier this year, Dobes' wins weren't always the nicest, he still managed to consistently find ways to win even when he wasn't his best. And now he's starting to look better and better and better. As far as I'm concerned, the net now belongs to Jakub Dobes and Jacob Fowler, and the era of Samuel Montembeault, while it was a nice story, is officially over. Montreal keeps pace with their Eastern Conference rivals. They actually managed to gain some ground on Boston and Detroit, who both lost tonight. Ottawa finds themselves in a playoff spot for the first time in months. And the Canadiens have to continue to look up in the standings, not down, because that race is just insane. Like we said earlier, they're going to need 100, 102 points just to make the playoffs in the East this year. Anyway, you guys, that's going to be it for me. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you liked the video, please consider giving us a like and a subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Thank you for bearing with us as we've been away for the last couple of weeks. We had a host guest. I didn't really feel comfortable recording videos while they were here, hence the reason for my absence. Thank you once again for watching, and have a great night, guys.
Let's do it on Thursday. Yeah.